Kia ora. I'm Emma Nana from Sound Foundations for Literacy. I wanted to make a video today to talk about books because I wanted to share some pitfalls and just wanted to show you the variety and range of things that are available in terms of appropriate reading material for beginning readers and also older learners who are needing to catch up with their reading. So it's not a comprehensive list, but I just grabbed some things off my shelf and I wanted to show you what I've got and what they look like, because it's always nice to see the books before you might make a purchase, but also to give you a bit of a heads up about some pitfalls. So first up, I want to show you something I just purchased last week off Trade Me, thinking that they'd be great to add to my collection for extra practice for the kids I'm working with and the schools I work with. And that was this fairy tale phonics collection. So they're called Reading with Phonics. So I thought, oh, that sounds really good. I'll grab those, and got them in the post. And honestly, they are just ridiculous. So for example, so they're all lovely stories. We've got Princess and the Pea, Goldilocks and the Three Bears, Little Mermaid, Jack and the Beanstalk, all sorts. So if I just pull out the Little Mermaid, so they're small little books, all they have done is written a normal story, and each book has key sounds. So this one, the key sounds, it says a s, m, and a, and a secondary sound focus is and g. You open the book and they are full of tricky words that our kids who are learning can't read by themselves because they haven't been taught all of the letters and sounds that make them up. And what they've done is just put in bold those particular sounds that are the focus sounds. So you can see, I mean, there's mornings, one morning in the ocean, that's very hard. Then we've got two syllable words, mermaid, sunshine, heard a shout. A boat was sinking in the waves and someone could not get out. So really, there's no opportunity for kids to confidently and competently practice the skills that they've just been taught. So those are a big no from me, and they will be going to the op shop. They're lovely stories to read to children, but not for beginning readers. So don't make that mistake. Rubbish as books which provide the appropriate kind of practice for kids, where we teach them some sounds and they get the opportunity to practice in a decodable book. So to highlight the difference, I want to show you some of the decodables I've got here. So just on the top of my pile, no particular order, I have got first some of the Sunshine decodable books here. And so, for example, we teach children 8 sound to spelling correspondences. So the sound is written by the letter M. So first set, we've got a book like this, Nat, and the words in here are made up of only sound spelling patterns that the kids have already learned. So those 8 sounds that you see in that front cover there. I am Nat, and a couple of high frequency words that we teach them how to read by showing them how the sound to spelling correspondence works. Nat tips it, she's pouring herself a drink. Dip, dip, dip. I'm reading backwards in mirror writing, so I'm sorry if I get anything wrong. But that's a much more appropriate way for a beginner to practice applying the skills that they've already just been taught into reading some text. Stage 2, teach them another 6 sounds, another 8 sounds. Now they've got 16. So we've got slightly more words on a page. Dan runs to the top with the 16 sounds, sound to spelling correspondences that they've learned. And then set 3, we've got something like eggs and lemons, I'm sorry. So now they have got 14 more spelling patterns. So they've got 30 sound to spelling correspondences that they've learned, and they can now read a little bit more text because their accuracy and speed is increasing. They've got a little bit more stamina for reading a bit more, and they can read words like this. So that's an example of the set 1 to 3 Sunshine books. And that's what we call cumulative, which means it's like a snowball. So they learn 8 sounds, read books with those. They learn the next sounds, and then they've got books with the first 16 sounds. So they've got more and more alphabetic code that they understand and can use. All right, now next up, I've got some Little Learners Love Literacy books, and these are from the Pip and Tim series, lovely Pip and Tim. And so stage 1, They also learn 8 sounds first, and this is, you know, one of the very first books that kids will come across. A couple of words per page with just those first 8 sounds. Okay, and then we've got a stage 3. So I'm skipping through the stages a bit to show you how it progresses. They now have 21 sound to spelling correspondences. So Dad and his hot dog's a pretty funny one. He gets a bit cross because his hot dog's not hot. But here we've got a few more words per page, and now they've got those 21 spelling to sound correspondences. Building like a snowball. Here we get up to stage 5. They've now got 30 sound to spelling correspondences. This is a hilarious book too, Quack, about this little black duck that turns up in the garden when they're playing cricket. This book has got about 54 chances to practice decoding, reading the CK spelling pattern that they've just learned. So this is what's different between what might be called a phonics book and a decodable book. That's really crafted carefully to allow that all those opportunities to practice in a really neat story. Okay. Oh, and then, so all of those are what we'd call the basic code. So that's learning all of the consonant sounds, which have 1 or 2 letters to spell them. So a 1-letter sound is like a letter T that spells T. A 2-letter spelling might be SH to spell the sound sh, or PH to spell the sound f. So they learn all of those, and they learn words with an increasing structure or word or number of sounds in the word. So it might be, we start off with just 3 sound words, like 2 and 3 sound words, like vowel consonant, am or at. CVC, which is consonant, vowel, consonant. So you've got a word like cup, k, up. And then they move at that stage when they've got those, the 5 short vowel sounds, e, o, a, and your consonant sounds. They then increase the word length, the word structure that they can manage. So holding 4 sounds in their working memory. So a word like nest, st, consonant, vowel, consonant, consonant. Or 2 consonants at the start, like flag, f, l, a, g, c, c, v, c. Okay, so they've got that. That's all their basic code. Then they move into what we call the extended code, which has all of those more variable spellings, especially for all of the different vowel sounds. So there's 20 vowel sounds, and they've only learned 5 sounds so far, those 5 short vowels, and they're going to learn all the different ways to spell the vowel sounds over quite an extended period of time. And the research says it takes about 1 year to master the basic code, and another 1 to 2 years to master that extended code, all those different spelling patterns, like all the different ways to spell the long A sound. There's about 8 ways to spell it, like AI, AY, A consonant E, like in the word cake, EIGH, like in the word 8, etc. So this is still with Little Learners Love Literacy, Pip and Tim. This is a stage 7.1 book where the kids have learned 2 ways to spell the long A sound. They've got AI and AY. And so here you'll see there's lots more page. It's keeping all of the sound spelling patterns that they've already learned. So again, increasing like a snowball, and they get to keep practicing and reviewing all those ones they've already learned, but now they can manage much more text. Right, another series I'd like to show you. This is from the UK. It's called the Songbirds series. They're all written by Julia Donaldson, but they're quite fun because they're all done in a little bit of a different style. So there's a range of illustrators through the books, and they are about a different collection of they're all different characters in the books. They're not related to each other. So it's been a bit hard to find a really clearly written out scope and sequence for these. It's something I've been meaning to do, but they do have a scope and sequence, and it's cumulative, and it provides a lot, just another series you could add to your collection to provide more practice at a certain stage. So here is a stage 1 book, Mum Bug's Bag. And she goes out and she puts all these things in her bag, and then the bag gets so full that the zip breaks and things fall out on the ground. So that's a fun one. Lots of text per page though. So this is great once kids are really getting up and going, and more practice, more mileage to build that accuracy, automaticity, and fluency as they're reading. Here we go, stage 2, we've got Dr. Duck, which is probably my favorite one. Bob Bug gets sick and Dr. Duck comes and fixes him up with a pill, and anyway, Dad ends up getting sick in bed as well at the end. That's quite a funny little one. And then skipping to stage 5, we get a book like this, No Milk Today, where the farm runs out of milk and they need to do all sorts of things to get milk, providing practice with the sound to spelling patterns that they have been taught. If we contrast that with those other phonics books that I showed you earlier, the only way that the kids can read these words is if we sort of read them the book beforehand and they memorize the story, and then they're remembering what the words are as they read it independently with help again. And we'll find ourselves needing to really scaffold and support the kids to read those words. And if they haven't got the sound spelling knowledge to decode them, to sound out through the words, the only thing they can do is to have a go at what we used to call solving the word, what's really guessing, by looking at the first letter, using the sentence and thinking what would make sense, and using the picture to help us think what word might that be there. And that's really not what we want our beginning and catch-up readers to be doing, because we want them to rely on decoding through the word. If we do that using all of those other sources of information to figure out what a word might be, we're actually helping the brain to set up a really inefficient reading network which goes through the right hemisphere of the brain, and it doesn't help to build up the really efficient reading neural network that goes through in the left hemisphere of the brain that connects up letters to the sounds in the words, and that's really important. All right, so finally I wanted to show you some of the books I have here for older learners. I'll just show you a few. This is from the Phonic Books Moondog series, and the first few books, this is set 2, so they've already learned all the spelling to sound correspondences in set 1. So we assume at book 1 that they can read CVC words with all of that basic code that I talked about. So here they've got 29 sound to spelling correspondences. It's all CVC words, so 3 sound words in here with some high frequency words as well. And Moondogs is a series about a teenage band. So we've got this kind of thing here. The sun is up. Sim and Tam sit in the hot sun. And this is about all the different things that the band gets up to. So the second book, now we move to words with 4 sounds in them, like lamp. Same spelling to sound correspondence. There's no new ones in this book, just moving into a slightly longer word structure. Okay, so they've got appealing illustrations and subjects for older kids. They won't feel like they're reading babyish books. Here are 2 more series from Phonic Books from their catch-up readers range. These are great for about age 8 or 9, up to probably 12 or 13-year-olds, maybe even 14. They're high interest topics with really cool illustrations, and they look like chapter books. They even have chapters in them. So you'll see they're arranged with chapter 1. So the kids really feel like they are using age-appropriate materials, which is really good for their confidence, for their mana. They have a really specific scope and sequence, so it moves from simple to complex, and it's really clear what these will be practicing. So Magic Belt they both have the same main character, which is Zach, and he has to go on a quest to find 10 magic gems to fill in the magic belt to save his grandfather who's sick, and he meets this man in the mist. These ones are all, the magic belt is all basic code, so practicing those 5 short vowels, all the consonant sounds, and getting into words even with 2-syllable words like grandpa and cannot, and moving into words with more spelling patterns in them. So then the Totem is another series with Zach as the main character. It's just another adventure that he goes off on. And this one moves into some of the other spelling patterns in the extended code. more text on a page too. So they'll do a lot of learning and a lot of practice in between reading each book. And I find they're great because the kids just can't wait to get their hands on the next book in the series. So they're really motivated to learn the next sounds, practice them till they're getting confident with them so that they can get into the next book. So they're just wonderful. Phonic Books has loads of different series, and they are, I just can't recommend them enough. If you get them, make sure you get the workbook that goes with them, which provides you with all the materials you need to support you teaching the new sounds and offering lots of practice reading and writing words at the word level, and lots of practice as well at the phrase and sentence level. And then when they've worked through all of that with a skilled parent, teacher, educator to guide them, then they can get into the book. So the workbooks are just invaluable because it takes a huge amount of preparation time out, and they're really lovely resources to use. So I really recommend those two. And here I have some Sounds Right decodables for year 2+. So the green ones here are the animal fact file books. So the first one starts with the 4 sound words and all the basic code, ants. And these books are starting to bring in some more, just a few more words with spelling patterns they may not have encountered yet, but not so much as that they're going to have to resort to guessing. It's just helping them transition from fully decodable text into less controlled, typical text. So these are really interesting books, nicely illustrated, and they have again, a really clear scope and sequence that tells you which letter sounds they'll need to read those books. And then moving into the extended code, this is the first unit of the extended code in Sounds Right. The kids will learn several spelling patterns for the long A sound. So in this book, they'll encounter AI, AY, and A consonant E in slugs and snails. And so you'll get things like slugs and snails, like the rain and the wet, clay pots, damp places, and shade. So there's lots of content learning as well as that decoding practice in these books. And then we've got the Sounds Right countries fact files, and these are really made for year 3, 4+, and these are very much moving into that transitional phase between fully decodable books and less controlled. They always have a focus. So this first one, starting the extended code in Japan, is all made up of mainly basic code, but they have much more text on a page. And then we've got Turkey. So there's all sorts of wonderful countries for the kids to learn about and engage with. What's this one's focus is more spellings for the sound. So they already would have come across several in the second year, and then in the third year here, they're going to come across more different ways to spell like you are in Turkey. Right, that's my little, it was going to be a couple of minutes and it's much longer than that, but hopefully you find that helpful, and stay away from, well, if you see something that says it's phonics, don't necessarily think that's going to be really appropriate or useful for our kids who are just beginning or needing to catch up. All right, ka kite.